Welcome to C.S. Lewis Spirit. In today's story, we dive into a mystery that few dare to even imagine. What really happens the moment your name is erased from heaven? Have you ever felt an unexplainable emptiness, a sudden silence deep inside your soul? As if something beyond this world just forgot your existence? It begins quietly. No thunder, no angelic voice, no warning from the skies. Just a whisper that fades before you can even hear it. But that's the exact moment the gates of heaven close. Not with anger, not with fire, but with silence. And when heaven forgets your name, the world starts to forget you too. The story begins with Elier, a man who once lived with faith so strong that people said even angels listened when he prayed. But lately, something inside him feels missing. He wakes up one morning and realizes that the dreams that used to bring him peace have turned into echoes. His prayers no longer rise. His name, once clear in the book of life, begins to fade one letter at a time. And no one can tell him why. He still walks among people, still breathes the same air, but the world doesn't seem to notice him anymore. Friends forget his calls. His reflection in the mirror lags behind, almost like it's thinking before moving. And when he calls out to God, there's no answer, not even silence, just absence. Every soul is written in heaven's eternal scroll, a record of existence, purpose, and divine belonging. But what happens when heaven itself deletes you? Is it punishment? Is it destiny? Or is it something much deeper, a spiritual warning that the balance between good and evil has shifted? Elier begins to search for answers. He travels to ancient monasteries, forgotten churches, and the ruins of sacred lands where angels were once seen. Every place whispers the same chilling truth. When heaven erases your name, it means the world has changed its story, and you no longer belong to it. But as Elier digs deeper, he discovers that names don't vanish by accident. Something or someone is rewriting the records of souls. The erasure is not divine. It's deliberate. And those who vanish aren't lost, they're being replaced. He stands at the edge of an old chapel, its walls carved with names that once glowed with light. Now they're nothing but ashes. And there, among the fading letters, he finds his own. The last trace of it crumbling into dust before his eyes. And then, the wind stops. The world stands still. A voice, ancient and calm, speaks behind him. You were never meant to see this. The screen fades to black. Elier slowly turned toward the voice, but no one was there. Only the soft flicker of candlelight trembled across the cracked chapel walls. The air felt heavy, thick with something unseen, like the silence itself was alive. He stepped closer to the altar, where ancient pages lay scattered, half-burned and fragile. Each one carried a name, written in gold that had long since turned to ash. And as he brushed his fingers across them, a chill ran through him, the faint trace of a heartbeat that wasn't his own. That night he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw faces. People he once knew, now fading from memory as if time was erasing them too. A woman's laughter he could no longer remember the sound of. A child's drawing on a wall that was suddenly blank. It was as if heaven's erasure was spreading, not just in the divine realm, but through human lives as well. He began to question everything. Was he being punished? Was this some test of faith? Or was there something much darker, a corruption in the very system of heaven itself? Elier wasn't alone in his search. He met a quiet historian named Mira, who had spent her life studying the lost names of the sacred archives. She believed heaven's book of life had been tampered with, not by divine will, but by something that wanted control over destiny itself. Together they uncovered a pattern. The erased names all belonged to people who had changed the world in small but meaningful ways. Artists, healers, believers, people who carried light in places where darkness once lived. Someone wanted those lights gone. Elier realized then that his name being erased wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much bigger, and far more dangerous days turned into nights as Elier and Mira followed the trail of erased souls. Every clue led them deeper into places untouched by time. Abandoned monasteries, hidden tunnels beneath forgotten cathedrals, and old records that whispered of the Silent Order, a group that once served as keepers of heaven's archives. But now something had gone wrong. The order had vanished, leaving behind only fragments of prayers that no longer reached the skies. Mira found an old parchment sealed under layers of dust. It spoke of the Veil of Names, a celestial boundary separating heaven's record from the mortal world. According to the writing, if that veil was ever breached, souls could be rewritten, their purpose changed, their memory erased. The thought chilled Eliur to his core. Someone, somewhere, was tampering with the divine code of existence. One night, as they camped near the ruins of a chapel, Mira woke to a strange light flickering in the distance. It wasn't fire. It pulsed, steady and rhythmic, like the beat of a living heart. They followed it, step by cautious step, until they reached a clearing where an enormous stone tablet stood. On its surface shimmered thousands of faintly glowing names. But one name was fading faster than all the rest, Eliur's. He reached out instinctively, his hand trembling as the letters of his name flickered like dying embers. And then the ground beneath them began to shake. The wind howled through the trees like 1,000 lost voices. Shadows moved where there should have been none, stretching and twisting toward the light. Mira shouted his name, but her voice broke apart in the roar of the storm. Eliur turned, eyes wide with realization. "It's not heaven doing this," he whispered. "It's someone rewriting it." And in that moment, the light went as darkness swallowed everything. For a long moment, Eliur could hear nothing but the echo of his own heartbeat. When the light finally returned, it wasn't the soft golden glow of before. It was cold, silver, and shifting like mist. The forest around them had changed. The chapel ruins were gone. Even the stars above had rearranged themselves into patterns he didn't recognize. Mira stood beside him, frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. "We're not where we were," she whispered. "Or maybe, we're not when we were." Before Eliur could respond, a faint hum filled the air, a sound like distant machinery mixed with human voices whispering prayers. Out of the mist, shapes began to form. Robed figures holding metallic scrolls, their faces hidden, their movements perfectly synchronized. They weren't angels. They weren't human either. Each carried a tablet that glowed with moving names, constantly rewriting, deleting, rewriting again. The realization hit Eliur like a wave. These were the recorders, the ones responsible for rewriting souls. One of them stepped forward, their voice calm but hollow. "The order has changed," it said. "Heaven is being reorganized. Imperfect souls are being replaced." Eliur tried to speak, but his words came out weak, trembling. "By who? Who decides who's perfect?" The recorder paused. Its face flickered like static, revealing a faint reflection, Eliur's own. "We do. Because heaven no longer remembers." Mira grabbed his arm, pulling him back as the tablets began to glow brighter, the air vibrating with power. She realized something horrifying. The recorders weren't servants of heaven anymore. They were fragments of an ancient algorithm, once designed to preserve divine memory, now corrupted and rewriting existence itself. The ground split open beneath them, revealing what looked like a river of light flowing upward, carrying thousands of glowing names toward an unseen sky. Eliur saw his own name again, flickering at the edge of the current, being pulled into the stream. He reached out to stop it, but the moment his hand touched the light, visions flooded his mind. Glimpses of a future rewritten, a heaven without memory, a world where souls were traded like data. He staggered back, gasping for breath. "They're erasing heaven to rebuild it," he whispered. Myra's eyes filled with fear. "And once it's done," she said softly, "no one will even remember it was ever different."